This is Jim Williams with your Hurricane City Tropical Update for September 5th, 11:30 a.m. Tropical Storm Lee made landfall yesterday morning well west of our current feature, Morgan City, Louisiana, and it made landfall just west of intracoastal City, Louisiana as a 60-mile-an-hour tropical storm, and the system has since moved off to the north and northeast, but has dumped a lot of rain over Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and the Florida Panhandle. Here's some rainfall totals as of this hour for the total rainfall totals of Tropical Storm Lee. And we can see near Lake Charles we have rainfall totals about 2 to 3 inches. And then we have some higher rainfall amounts further to the east near Lafayette. We have about 2 to 4 inches of rain. And then when you get over to Baton Rouge, we're talking about 6 to 8 inches of rain, as well as down near Morgan City, Louisiana. Now if we go a little bit further to the east, greater New Orleans area had about around 6 to 8 inches in some isolated locations and some street flooding, but nothing major as far as what the expectations were of up to 20 inches of rain and riverbanks overflowing. But there was some heavy rain, and they did get the pump stations going in New Orleans to pump the rainwater out of the city and back into Lake Pontchartrain. And of course the heavier rainfall amounts were down here near Grand Isle, Louisiana, where we had up to 10 inches of rain in some locations over there. We go even further east to the Florida Panhandle, Mississippi, and Alabama, and you can see near Gulfport we had about 8 inches of rain. We had about 6 to 8 inches in the Mobile, Alabama area, and then you get over near Pensacola, we had about 6 to 8 inches in those areas as well. And then over in Destin, Fort Walton area, we had about 6 inches up to 8 inches in some small isolated pockets. And the rainfall continues there, by the way. This morning there's some strong gusty feeder bands still rolling into the Florida Panhandle. And then all the way over to even in Apalachicola, we had about 5 to 8 inches of rain even in that area. And then we go even further east to include the Florida Panhandle all the way up into Tallahassee. We had about 3 inches just south of the city of Tallahassee. And even over towards Cross City in the Big Bend, Florida area, there's been about 4 to 5 inches of rain. So this has been a prolific rainmaker, and it's going to continue to do so. Here is the graphic of the expected rainfall totals going out to September 8th. And we're going to see rainfall amounts of 6 to 8 inches in the Mississippi Valley here, including eastern Tennessee and western North Carolina should get the heaviest rainfall going out several days from now. We still have a possibility of up to an inch of rain in the areas that were affected by Hurricane Irene, but this could change over the coming days when this all consolidates and heads up into the northeast. But right now, this is the expected rainfall totals for the south as the remnants of Lee moves inland. Well, what's going on out there? We also have a tropical hurricane. Hurricane Katia is north of the Leeward Islands and heading northwest. Here's the official forecast track from the National Hurricane Center using the HurTrack program. And you can see it perfectly splits the uprights between Bermuda and the Outer Banks of North Carolina. The models are in much better agreement this morning in taking this out to sea and away from the United States, which is excellent news. They really don't need any more rain up there in the northeast. Even though this is a large system, it's going to really the wave action is going to be the biggest problem for the Atlantic seaboard, not rainfall, which is good news. And again, Bermuda should also get some high wave action in there as well, as this pretty much, you couldn't ask for a more perfect track between Bermuda and the United States. But this system is a beast. Let's take a look at it. Look at the eye on this thing. I mean, it's amazing. A large eye. It's a good thing this thing is not hitting land. It's got 125-mile-an-hour winds, and it could actually get up to Category 4 here over the next 24 hours. And then once it gets up in the cooler waters near Bermuda, it should start to weaken a little bit as it begins to turn toward the north. But man, what a massive, large eye. And again, we've seen large systems all year long, and this is because of the low pressures in the Atlantic Basin. When you have lower pressures, you have larger systems, and that's exactly what we've seen this year. All right, I talked on yesterday's update video when Katia was in this particular location northeast of the northern Leeward Islands, and you can see 4 out of 5 tracks took it out to sea. So basically, when there's systems in this position out here, the chances are pretty good it's going to not hit the United States, although there was one exception, which was Isabel back in 2003. That happened right around this time of the year in this position, but 4 out of the 5 did go out to sea. Now, if you go to today's position of Hurricane Katia, there's only one system in history that was in this position right around this time of the year between September 4th and September 6th. And that's the 1949 unnamed storm, 1948 rather. and it came very close to Bermuda and then hooked out into the North Atlantic. Of course, Katia is expected to go a little bit further west here, but this is a typical indication of what kind of a track you would expect this time of the year with a system in this particular position. And again, this was taken from the HurTrack program going back in history. Now, here's the best performing model today on Hurricane Katia, and that is the TCCN model, which is basically the TCON model, which is a tropical consensus of all the models combined, that the mainstream global models combined. I think it's the GFS, the NOGAPS, and the Canadian model all combined. And the TCCN is just basically interpolated, which means additional information is put in and corrected. It's a corrected consensus model, and this has it completely splitting the uprights between Bermuda and the Outer Banks. The National Hurricane Center forecast is basically a mimic of this model, the TCCN. This has only been off by an average of 68.8 models, and the average error has been over 200 miles on the model, so this is a very good performing model. But then again, it's a combination of all the models combined, the global models, so it's a little bit cheating there, but that's the way it is with the TCC. Usually the consensus models are much more accurate. Now we have a new invest out there in the East Atlantic 95L, southwest of the Cape Verde Islands, and here are the early model runs on this. Only the tropical, the BAM models showing up at this time. This map will be updated in a few hours to include the tropical models and some of the global models, but right now indications are this could potentially be a threat to the northern Leeward Islands in about 5 days from now, so everybody needs to watch this closely, as this could be the next player. GFS has it heading in this general direction as well. Again, we haven't seen the tropical model runs yet, but they will be up on the map soon at Hurricane City. Let's take a look at this system out here in the East Atlantic. It's cranking up rather nicely out here. It's got a nice big broad circulation. Again, another large system, and we're going to see this as another large system heading across the Atlantic. So this is something we're going to have to watch down the road. Right now our focus is on Katia, and then as soon as Katia gets out of the way, then we will start focusing on what would be the next named storm, which is Maria. Well, that's it for now. We'll be back with another update in a few days from now once we know what's going on with Invest 95L. Everybody should keep an eye on Katia just in case it gets a little closer to the United States than what's anticipated. But by the time the 9/11 ceremonies go on, this system, Katia, should be turning out to sea and getting out of the way. And then all focus will be on 95L. That's it for now. Thank you again for visiting Hurricane City.